Hey guys, it's Emma. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're doing a very simple, chill video, and it's going to be counting the amount of books that are on my physical TBR. We're basically going to be going through them, talking about which ones I'm not that excited to read, which ones I'm super excited to read, ones that I want to get to before the year ends, how long I've had them. We're just going to be talking about the books that I haven't read, that I physically have, and then at the end of the video, we'll count them all. It'll really put into perspective how I don't need any more books. I've actually been good with not buying books because I'm like, I have probably over 20 books. I'm guaranteed, I think, on my shelf that I have not read. So it's like I needed to start getting to those instead of buying books. But this will really just solidify it for me that I should be getting to this over here instead of outside buying books. But I'm gonna grab all the books first and then we'll start going through them. Oh, okay. So we're gonna start with this one. From the jump, I got this a while ago because I was like, okay, this would be a really cute summer book. Basically, I think it's about like kids in college that they're in this big friend group and you kind of just follow them. There's a romance in it and obviously it's like a very summer-ish book. I got it from the book section, I think like a couple months ago. But yeah, I've started reading this one. I'm definitely gonna be knocking this off the physical TBR, but this is the first book starting off the books on my TBR. Next is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This book is a kind of recent, like, release. I've read two of her other books, Meet Me at the Lake, and what was the other one? Every Summer After. And I liked the first one, but I didn't like Meet Me at the Lake. So hopefully this is a good one. I've heard mixed reviews on this, but I'm definitely going to be reading this soon since it's a summer book. So this will definitely be off the physical TBR by the end of the year. Next is Maybe in Another Lifetime by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm sure everyone knows this author. I read One True Loves, After I Do, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I think one of my favorite books I've read from her was After I Do. Amazing, so good, and I didn't expect for me to like that book. So I was like, I definitely need to get the rest because these, I don't think they're connected, but they have the same like sort of cover. And there's this one and another one called Forever Interrupted, but I obviously want to read this one first before I go out and buy that one. But yeah, that's this one. We have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I just read Abby Jimenez's book. I had mixed reviews on her before, but after I read her recent book, Just for the Summer, I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to read this one because this one has a lot of like popular reviews. Then we have By a Thread by Lucy Score. This book, I've also heard good things about it, just Lucy Score's books are so thick that I'm always like avoiding them. I never want to really read them, but again, I've heard good things, so I'm not that scared that I'm not gonna like it, but I'm scared just because of like how thick it is. It's literally like 530-ish pages. Next is another Lucy Score book, Forever Never. This one, I've also heard mixed reviews on this one, but I read it, I got it at Target and I read like the back and it sounded really interesting. So hopefully I'll like it, but this is giving like winter-ish book, so I'll probably read it hopefully around that time. But again, just the thick books, you know, I'm scared of them. Oh, I forgot to get another one. I have another Lucy Score book that I have not read, which is Things We Left Behind. This is the last book in the Knock 'Em Out series, but I definitely want to read this one soon. I think before summer's over for sure, just because I feel like it's the perfect time to read in the summer. And again, I just want to, you know, finish this series. Like I said, for the last two, they're just so thick. Next is Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is actually recently, I bought this because I have been looking for the special edition covers. If you guys don't know, I have the special edition covers. Every time I find it, it's like 40 bucks on Amazon, and I'm not paying 40 bucks to get a special edition book, and it's one book. It's not like the whole series, it's just this one. And yeah, I guess you had to buy it at a certain time, so I wasn't able to get it, and when I saw it at Target, I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna get it because it's the next one I have to read in the series, and I'm definitely gonna be reading this one soon. I wouldn't have bought it if I was just gonna wait it out. So yeah, I want to read this again before the summer ends because I feel like it's just that vibe. I'm really excited for this one because I've heard this is people's favorite. Then I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, which is another recent release. I do want to get to this one, but I don't know if I want to finish Chestnut Springs before I get into this like whole new series, because I know the next book in this series is coming out in like September maybe, or like October, but I think I definitely want to finish it before then. So another book I want to read before the end of the year. Next is Powerless. This book, the new book just came out, like the next one in the series. the novella came out and then the new book came out, which was, the novella was, I think, Powerful, and then the next book was Reckless. So I definitely want to get to this soon so I could be, you know, involved in what everyone's talking about in this book, because everyone's obsessed with this series. And I think it's mostly because of the romance, but the fantasy is also good in it too. So this is another book I want to finish by the end of the year. But I just feel like I have to read that more in like the fall time, because that's just the vibe. Also this one too, Once Upon a Broken Heart. I've had this book for such a long time and I have not picked it up. I don't really know why, because it's not like, doesn't look like a crazy book. It's not like too long. I think I definitely want to read this one soon too. Then we have another thick one, which is the Mindfuck series. But this is obviously a series, so it's like a bunch of books in it. And it's a 5-book series, which this isn't that thick for 5 books. I feel like the Lucy Score books are thicker, but it's also very tall. But again, I've heard great things about this book, so I would be so excited to read this whenever I decide to. But again, I don't know if I'm gonna get to this year, just because of like how thick it is, and if there's so many books that are higher up on my radar. But yeah, who knows? I don't really know. Next book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I got this book because of Sarah Caroli. She absolutely loved this book. She almost rated this book 5 stars. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I think the like plot of the book sounds really interesting. And I think it's like she gets stuck in a library like as a ghost or something like that. And no one could really see her until this one guy sees her. I don't really know the concept of it. That's just what I grasped. And yeah, it sounds really interesting, and I'm actually excited to read this book. So maybe I'll get to that this year too. Next is the first book in the Harry Potter series. One of my friends actually gave this to me because he like has all the books, and I was like, hey, I need it. Yeah, I just have this on my shelf. Maybe I'll read it like during fall, during Christmas, just because that's like that type of vibe, and it's obviously not a long book, so I could easily just read this book, which I think will be fun to read. Next is Shatter Me. I've also had this on my shelf for such a long time, which this, I'm thinking of also reading it in like the winter time. I hope I'm actually going to read all these books, because I'm like, oh, I want to finish them this year, but I wish I could read all these books this year, to be honest. But Shatter Me, again, this is a very popular series that I have never read, so obviously I want to be kind of in the loop, know what the hype is all about, so I definitely want to read that soon. Next is ACOTAR, the first book. Again, another series that's very, very popular and I have not gotten into. I don't really know why. I think fantasy books just scare me because there's a lot more going on than just a cute little romance. So yeah, it just kind of scares me, but again, so many people love it. Next is Hooked. This is the first book in another series too. I'm pretty sure it's a retelling of like Peter Pan. Yeah, but it's like a series. It says James has always been Troy's enemy, Peter Michaels. When Peter's 20-year-old daughter, Wendy, shows up in James' bar, he sees his way in, seduce the girl and use her for revenge. It's perfect, whatever. So it's like a retelling with like Wendy. I don't really know. Hey, it sounds interesting. I love the thought, like the idea of like retellings. Like I probably would enjoy those type of fantasy books more than just typical fantasy, but I don't know, this will probably be like the first one I ever read that's like that. Next is In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. This is the author that wrote Fourth Wing, and I enjoyed Fourth Wing, but I actually never read the second book, which I'm not really interested in reading the second book. I've heard that her other books are good, and what this sounds like, what it's about, it sounds really interesting. It says, when she gets on a plane to go home, she isn't expecting much. She spots her seatmate, who is anything but ordinary. The connection is undeniable. Just 90 seconds after takeoff, their plane goes down in the Missouri River. Their lives change, they change. Nate goes on to a career in the military, where Izzy finds her way into politics. The timing never feels right. There comes a high-stakes reunion in Afghanistan, where Nate is tasked with protecting Izzy's life. He'll do anything to keep her safe and everything to win her heart. So it just sounds really interesting, to be honest. It sounds like kind of high stakes. It's not really like a super cute romance, but it sounds interesting. So I just kind of grabbed it. And then I also got Full Measures by Rebecca Yarros. This I got gifted to for like a Secret Santa. And I actually had never heard anything about it. This is another like army type book. Hockey star. So the girl's a soldier. Oh no, her dad is like in the army. The male main character is a hockey star until Josh's secret shatters both their worlds. I don't know, it sounds like a sad book, so this is calling more for like December around there, but yeah, have not got to this one either. We're starting the next stack. This book, Miami It's Murder. This book I got for like in 8th grade to read it for an assignment, and I ended up choosing another book and I never read this one. Honestly, I still don't know what it's about. Cuban-American reporter is investigating a series of bizarre deaths. So it's basically she's just like following a bunch of deaths, which it could sound interesting to me, like even though there's no romance in this book, like at all whatsoever for sure. It's only like 250-ish, a little bit less than that, pages long, so I could probably read this super quick, to be honest, but it's definitely a book I've been avoiding because I got it for a school assignment, so I don't know how to feel about that one. Next is Ruthless Vows. This is the second book in the Divine Rival series. This book I've heard is more fantasy driven rather than romance, which I don't think has been driving me away from reading it. It just hasn't been super high on my radar. It's usually just because of like the season we're in. Next is Never by Jessa Hastings. If you guys don't know, this is the author that wrote my favorite series ever, Magnolia Parks, and people said this wasn't really her best book. Obviously, you can't really compare anything to Magnolia Parks, but it's a fantasy book. It's another retelling of Peter Pan, actually. This one just sounds more like lighthearted though, but I think I would be interested in this book too. Just, again, haven't gotten around to reading it. Next is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This book is the first in a series. It's like what is it? The Naturals is Criminal Minds for the Young Adult World. That's basically what everyone compares it to. Like Criminal Minds, it's a bunch of like young kids with like specific, not powers, but like strengths, like what their strengths are. They like help the FBI or something. There's like some slight romance in these books. The font is actually really big. Yeah, another book that I've been wanting to read. Then we had The Hawthorne Legacy. This is the second book in the Inheritance Games series. I didn't really enjoy the Inheritance Games, but I do want to continue to find out like what happens, because I feel like in the first book we didn't really get much. But yeah, this is the second book. Then we have Love Redesigned. The new book actually just came out, Love Unwritten, and I've heard a lot of good things about both the books, so I'm really excited to get to them. I love Lauren Asher and all her books, so I really hope I enjoy this one. These books are also really thick, and I feel like every time a romance book is this thick, I'm like, how much do you need to talk about? Then we have The Way I Used to Be. This is a very heavy book. It talks about a lot of like sensitive topics, so I've been kind of avoiding this one because it just like scares me to read about that kind of stuff. This is another book I've been avoiding, but just for like my own reasons. Then we have Underneath the Sycamore Tree. This is another romance book, but it's very like sad. Like think about like If He Had Been With Me, A Thousand Boy Kisses, like those type of books. That's what I've heard this book is like, but I've heard it's such a good book. But I don't know, I've just been avoiding this one too. This one has also been on my shelf for a long time. Then we have If Only I Had Told Her. This is the second book that came after If He Had Been With Me, and people said that this book wasn't really needed. Like they could have just ended on the last book, so I think that's kind of why I've been like because after I read If Only You Had Been With Me, I loved it, and then people started reading this one and didn't really enjoy it as much, so I was kind of just scared to see like what I thought about it. But I don't know, I'll probably get to it soon, again in like the later months. Then we have A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. I'm pretty sure this is the second book in the series. I don't know why I didn't like do my research on that first, but again, I've heard mixed reviews on this one. This is like I think it's like the Lancaster Prep series. I don't really know what it's about. I shouldn't be drawn to her. She's not my type. I don't know. I just knew it was a popular series, so I wanted to get it. Yeah, I think it's like the second book in a series, so I don't know why. We have Binding 13. This one, I can't even promise that I'm going to read it this year. I don't know when I'm going to get to this. I want to get to it when I'm like in the mood to read it, and I really want to read it, because I feel like, as you guys can tell, I have so many books that are on my radar and that I want to read. So I want to get to those first before I jump into this and like this whole series, because I know people tell me like once I read the first book, I'm just going to want to keep reading the others. So I want to get to this when I'm in the right like mind space too. Then we have Brutal Prince, another first book in a series. I have no clue what this one is about. Oh, I think this is like a fantasy. I have no clue what this is about. Again, I just got it because I've heard reviews on it and heard that it was good, so just decided to get it as usual. And then we have the two last books in the Twisted series. I literally got both of these together because I enjoyed Twisted Love and Twisted Games at the time. I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this series now, but I've heard that Twisted Hate, I've heard that both of these two are people's favorites, so I definitely want to get to these soon, just to, you know, see what the hype is about and to just finish them and get them off my radar. And those are all the books that are on my physical TBR. This is them stacked next to me. Now we're going to count them, and yeah, so we'll see.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. These over here, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32.
33. I have 33 books on my physical TBR. I did this video last year, and I don't know how many I had on my physical TBR last year. I think I probably had like 14. I have 20 books on my physical TBR. Maybe, like, I don't know how I got these many books that I just haven't read on my shelf. Yeah, hopefully I could finish at least half of these by the end of the year. That's my goal, because this is honestly crazy. Like, I really don't need to buy books. I could just go to my shelf and be like, oh, like, this is my shopping. It just sucks because I wish I could read all of these before the year ends. Like, there's so many books when I look at them. I'm like, I get so excited to read them. I know I obviously can't be getting to them like by the end of the year because I don't read that quick. I'm sure like these other YouTubers could read 33 books by the end of the year, but me personally, I know I can't. I could probably read like 15 of these by the end of the year, I think, which is still a lot, to be honest. Like, I know probably people read like 1 book a year or no books a year, so I know like 15 might be a lot. Even 10 is a lot. Like, I'll be satisfied if I get 10 of these books off of my physical TBR, which hopefully, let's actually do that really quick. Let's see 10 books I want to get off my physical TBR. So we have From the Jump that I am currently reading. I do want to get This Summer Will Be Different off my physical TBR too, obviously because it's summer. I'm definitely going to be wanting to read this one soon. Also, the reason why I have so many books on my physical TBR is because I recently got a Kindle for my birthday in April, and I've been reading a lot of books on my Kindle because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to go out and buy the book, so I'll just read it on my Kindle. So then that's like another issue too. So even though I'm not buying books, then I go and I read them on my Kindle. So then that's why none of these are getting, you know, read. Yeah, anyway, to continue. Okay, definitely Reckless by Elsie Silver is another one. That's the number 3. I think definitely Wild Love eventually. Like I said, I want to read this before the next book comes out, so this one for sure. I think Love Redesigned. Definitely want to read this one too since the second book already came out. Okay, I think for sure Powerless. I want to read again. The second book came out, another popular series that I haven't gotten into. Things We Left Behind, like I said earlier, want to just finish the series, see what the book is about. Again, I was really excited about these characters' books, so I want to read that. That's book number 7. So we have 3 more to pick. I think Twisted Hate for sure, because I've took a long break from the series, so I just want to kind of read the next book, get back into it, maybe even read the next one, but I'm not going to put the last book in just so I could pick other books. Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, again a popular book that I just want to get to. Let's pick The Naturals, just because I've also had this book on my shelf for a long time. Everyone loves these books, and I think I'll like them too. I think it sounds really interesting. So yeah, these are the 10 books that are on my physical TBR that I want to eventually read by the end of the year, so hopefully that can actually happen. Those are all the books on my physical TBR. So I hope you guys enjoyed going through all my physical books. I don't plan on getting any more books until the end of the year. Hopefully by Christmas. I know during Christmas I'm probably going to be getting books from like my family and stuff, but I definitely want to be getting through my physical TBR because this is actually crazy how many books I have and I just haven't read. I'm very grateful for it, obviously, but I just want to get through it because, you know, I also like book shopping, but then I don't like book shopping and then coming home to like 30 books that I haven't read. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed looking through my physical TBR. 33 books on my physical TBR is crazy, but we'll be getting through that. So make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you know when I post my next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!